What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Guides podcast brought to you by fantasyguides.com. Steven has acquired a new .com. Steven, we announced it last week. How are you feeling about this new .com?
So much better. Just the word shop at the beginning, I never liked it. Not even sure why I picked it, to be honest. I thought it sounded better than .net or .org, so I just added something to the beginning. But been trying to get that domain name for a while now. Just kept waiting for the price to go down, and it got to a point where I felt good making an offer. So very happy to have it. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, it's fantasyguides.com. Doesn't it sound better?
It sure does. And Andrew brought it up last week. We deserve it. You know,
we're big
time now. We're big time now. And we're having a big time pod tonight. We have AJ, Andrew, Jacob, Steven, and myself. And we are going to do a little mock drafting for you guys. We've been talking about rookies the last few weeks. We did this last year and had a lot of fun with it. And we're going to have Andrew again host us. Andrew, I'll kick it over to you. What are you going to do here for us?
Well, we're going to do us a little bit of a 4-team mock draft. Yes, we have no friends. This is a simulation for that situation, which is very real for us. We only know the people inside this stream. Everyone else is dead to us. This is our league. 4 teams. We're going to go 3 rounds. So it's like a 1-round regular draft with 12 teams. If we're really feeling ourselves and are moving and grooving, which won't happen, we will go to a second round. If we're really flying through it, we talk with the best of them. We'll probably just get through 1 round today. So what's going to happen is these gentlemen do not yet know where they are drafting. As I am the all-powerful fake commissioner, these 4 fine gentlemen in front of you will be drafting. I am in charge of questioning these fools on what they're doing and making whatever I want to happen. I can move your picks. Like if you guys want Caleb 101, I'm just going to change it to like Sam Hartman. All right, so don't be nice to me.
Steven, we've given him too much power.
I agree.
I put his name in as an author now, so he shows up on Spotify. You know, Andrew Teuscher, Rippy Brothers, Jesse Preston, and it's just going to his head.
You give him a little bit, and he takes a mile.
But I will say, Steven, what do you think of the graphic in the background? I mean,
hey, Andrew, I saw Andrew do a jersey swap with CJ Stroud last year. And it looked like my daughter would have done a 10 times better job. So I haven't had a chance to dig into the graphics of the podcast, but I think Andrew's done good. I've been enjoying it, watching him on YouTube and seeing the players pop up. So I got to hand it to him. You know, he's a little graphically inclined, but he's been stepping up.
You know, it's all teacher stuff. Google Slides. I mean, we live in Google Slides.
True.
And he has just mastered it here for our StreamYard, and I love it. I do got to check in before we get too far, Andrew. AJ, do you have a microphone?
Yes, sir. I went out and acquired one.
Yes.
Thank you, Amazon.
Awesome.
Excellent. Jacob, check in with us too. How you feeling, Jacob?
I am here. I'm ready to go.
That's as much as we can ever ask.
That's a total Jacob answer.
Yeah, perfect.
My connection is good.
I'm technically here. Excellent. Well, let's rock this. Let's rock and roll, friends. Just some preface. We got some combine coming up. We'll talk about that assuredly next week. No need for speculation. We'll just pop out, tell you what guys are great. But this week, mock draft week. So let's get into it. I've got a number, gentlemen. A number in my head. Number written on my iPad Notes app. And you guys need to guess it for your draft order. Now, your pick, whatever it is not like if whoever's closest gets 1, you get to pick which place you want. So if you get the closest and you want 3rd overall, it's yours. All right, just so we're clear. This number, FYI, number between 1 and 100 is my Pee Wee League football number. And it makes positional sense. That's my hint to you. We'll start with the old guys. Who's older, Steve or Jesse? Out yourself.
Oh, I'm the oldest. So
excellent.
I'm gonna go with good old lucky number 7. It's always my my guess for these things.
All right, Steve, number 7. Jesse,
81.
81. So, what position do you think I played, Steven? What was this number 7 indicating?
Well, I have no idea what position you played.
Does he look like a quarterback to you, Steven?
Apparently.
You know what? I'm used to all these numbers not mattering in sports anymore.
That's
so
true.
I came from a good old Midwestern club where numbers mattered to us, Steven. Numbers matter. No number 0 out there. Jacob, you're the next old man up.
22,
22, little running back action, maybe.
maybe.
You'll be sorely disappointed. AJ,
I
what
was
do we
going to say,
got?
I feel like I have an upper hand here because I've seen some pictures of the young Toy
Oh,
Shirt.
this
And,
is
let me
the
tell
Jack's
you, young
waited.
Toy Shirt was a bit more of probably an O-line or defensive lineman.
Big
So we're gonna go with
69.
a defensive line. We'll go with like a nice 56.
56. Yes, young Andrew back in the day was looked more like a football than he did a football player.
I cannot
So-
picture that. I need this. I need these photos.
Hit up Facebook. They're out there, man. We'll get them up here on the pod someday. So the number written down here, I'll even flash it on the screen. Number 63, I used
Oh
to
my
don.
God.
Oh, AJ nailed it. Yeah.
No.
Yes, he did. So it looks like AJ, you're gonna get the first pick at what spot you want. Then it goes to Jesse, then Jacob, and then Steven. AJ, what spot do you want?
I'll be lame. I'll take a 101.
All righty, it puts you there. Let's see, Jesse,
I'm gonna be the 4.
number 4, little wraparound, reach around action there. Excellent, love that for you. Jacob,
I'll go 3 and snipe all of Jesse's picks.
excellent. Love the
time.
energy. Love the energy. All righty. Then that gets our draft set. And now we're going to see my beautiful piece of artwork here go bye-bye. Now you'll see our little mock draft here pop up. Look at this. We got
Oh,
visuals,
Andrew.
graphics.
This
Doing
is
it all.
amazing.
I'm doing it all. We're upgrading people.
If you can do sound effects, Casey's he's in Australia right now. He might just need to stay there.
All right, hold on.
I
This
can
is
just
gonna,
get sound effects from you.
this is gonna ruin everything. I'll get some little dance music. Anyone want to dance? Oh, that's not very upbeat. Feeding the ducks. There you go. There you go.
Ooh,
We need the pick is in
that-
noise.
that vibe,
That might
yeah.
be
Pick is in.
copyrighted.
pick
I
is
don't
in.
think I have the official fantasy guys music.
Ooh. Off the draft. There you go. Now it's official.
All right.
Back to the business at hand. I'm just gonna leave the draft paused. You guys can make your picks as you go. AJ, you're on the clock.
Alrighty.
Who are you
Well,
selecting at 101.
101. It's pretty obvious, I feel like, in all Superflex leagues, unless you're just absolutely stacked at quarterback. But if you're stacked at quarterback, might as well trade that 101, get some more draft capital. But for my case, I'm going Caleb Williams. I think he is by far the safest option here. Yeah, I mean, just no other guy really to look at. Maybe go Harrison, but again, Superflex, Caleb Williams, got to be that 101.
Absolutely. Make that pick there, AJ. You got the powers to put that in.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to have to do that because I'll forget every time. So
I think you have to unpause it.
Oh, resume now. All right, you only have 24 hours to make these picks, gentlemen. As AJ said, it is a super flex league, so that makes sense why Caleb 101 probably ain't going 101 and a 1 QB. AJ, are you convinced that this Caleb Williams pick is like automatic home run, like change your dynasty team kind of pick?
I mean, I don't see how he isn't. I guess if he ends up going out to an offense that just doesn't seem to really gel with him, you might have some issues there. But in college, he just was an absolute beast of a player. He had some issues this past year that I think definitely scared some people. But I think that once he makes that leap to the NFL, he's going to really mature and settle in as a leader on whatever locker room he settles in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Peanut Gallery, any thoughts on Caleb 101? Any disagreements?
No.
Good
I
to
think
go.
that's the right pick.
I think one of the most interesting takes I've heard over the last couple weeks is when we start getting bored with something
Yes.
that we've known for a long time, then we start trying to talk ourselves out of it. And I think that this guy is a generational talent that has to go at the 101. The way that he runs, throws, everything else, I don't think it matters what team he goes to.
Yep.
This guy is that special, and we've thought that for so long that the only thing that I've heard is people just getting bored and wanting to throw some other stuff out there. So
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that the Bears don't trade that pick or don't trade Fields to take that pick. So it looks like AJ wants him some Caleb Williams Bears 101 action. Excellent pick. No one's going to argue against it. This next pick is where it gets a little hairier, and it looks like our old friend Steve is going to get a shot at it. Where you going, 102, Steve? You're on the clock.
I hope you mean old because I haven't been on the podcast in a while.
We'll say
Andrew.
that. Yes. Yeah.
Chalk it up. I'm going Marvin Harrison Jr. I
dig.
have some thoughts of taking Drake May here, since it is super flex. But I think Harrison's going to be the consensus second pick in most drafts. I have him just a little bit ahead of May, and I think if I wanted to trade him for Drake May after the fact, that's a possibility. I could maybe get a little bit more from that. But since we're just picking here and we're not trading, I'm going to take the more proven guy. I like the pedigree. His dad, former Hall of Famer. I'm just going to chase those genes and chase the alma mater as well as being one of the best receiving universities that produces NFL talent. So I'm going with the kid, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, it really feels you can't go wrong there. But Steve, let me put you in a scenario. Alrighty, you're in the opposite of the situation you're in our dynasty league. You have no quarterbacks. You're set everywhere else. Are you pivoting to one of the quarterback options and letting Marv go in some sort of situation?
Yeah, I potentially would do that if I had no quarterbacks, because we know how hard it is to acquire quarterbacks in Superflex dynasty leagues, and it's not very often you're going to have a top 3 pick, hopefully, and these really good quarterbacks don't drop below that very, very much. So yeah, if I'm good at wide receiver but have no quarterback, I have no problem taking a quarterback here.
So you'd call the next couple of these guys at least in like close to a tier. This isn't Marv in its own tier of its own.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is like a clear cut tier break between Marvin Harrison and, I mean, I like Jaden Daniels and Drake May a lot. I think
spoilers. We don't know who's going to go next, Steven. Spoilers.
I know. I'm just saying. I don't like him that much more than those guys in this format.
Absolutely, Jacob. You are a known Ohio State hater. Give Steve crap for this pick.
What if he goes to the Patriots?
Oh, he's the host now. Listen to that guy.
You know what? That's a mock draft for a different day. What if they go to the Patriots?
Yeah.
Or Washington? You know, I think all of these. There's a reason these teams are picking near the front.
Yeah.
I've told Jacob at the beginning of this, he's our official. I'm going to shoot to him for potential landing spots throughout all of this. So y'all be ready to answer for those. Any other thoughts on Marv going 102 in a Superflex leaving? Steven, put your pick in.
Oh, sorry. All right,
there it is. Pretty sound. Any other thoughts before we move on to 103? They go silent. Jacob, they want to hear your voice. Who is going at 103? You're on the clock.
I am stoked to be on the clock in a sleeper draft right now. So I love it. I'll make my selection and then talk about it. I will go with the upside value of Jaden Daniels. I talked about this when we were talking rookies. I prefer the upside of Daniels versus May. I think he gives you a big ceiling at the quarterback position and can set you apart from your league mates if he does what we think he can do at the NFL level. He's got the running ability that can make him a top end quarterback. He has the consistent mechanics that you want to see as a passer. He can throw the ball deep. So he's got everything you want to see for an NFL quarterback. He comps to Lamar Jackson like we've been hearing. I don't know if that's necessarily what the ceiling might be, but we'll see where he goes. I'm excited to see him play. I think he can make your fantasy team better. So I will take Jaden Daniels.
All right. Well, we got to take the Steven question that he just got about Marv. What happens if he goes to the Patriots? How important is landing spot to you for Mr. Jaden Daniels?
Not as important as you might think. I think anywhere he goes, he's going to run. So I'm okay with that. I think his floor just rushing is high.
Makes some sense. I've been seeing mock drafts. It not necessarily just him going Patriots, but like Commanders trade out someone like Broncos or someone desperate. Falcons, I've seen desperate trades up into 2, swoops in and takes some Daniels or some May. So landing spot really is up in the air. And any more thoughts from the peanut gallery out here before we get to the 104?
Jacob, do you want Marvin Harrison Jr.?
No deal. You know how hard it is to get quarterbacks in Superflex leagues?
One guy I heard just talked about that. I can't remember who it was. I don't know if he was smart or not, but we'll figure that out.
No, I was talking about, trading back after I get him.
This is absolutely how our chats go in our actual rookie drafts. Hey, just took this guy. You want him? It's fantastic. All right, Jesse, you're on the clock. Who you taking here?
Yeah, I think the smart pick at this point would be Drake May. I think he's going to land with Washington with the 2nd overall pick, which means that they're going to want him to play right away. I think this is another thing where there's people that have tried to talk themselves out of Drake May, but he is a dynamic, does all the things well quarterback that has everything you want out of a franchise QB. So I think we could see him be successful in the league. And I think that he is a better runner than people realize. I do think that he comps well with, Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, just being able to run around and make plays when he needs to. I think he may do a little bit more of that at the next level, especially if he's at Washington with a line that leaks like a sieve. So hopefully they put weapons around him. But I think that's the smart pick in a super flex. And then are we snaking here, Andrew?
You're about to hit up the next pick too, but you gotta hold your horses there, mister. Because I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. One, to your point, I pulled up his rushing numbers. He had 689 rushing yards in his first year starting in 2022 and 449 rushing yards in the last year. And that needs to be known. It includes sack numbers in there, like taking away. So that's big time rushing upside, like you mentioned. So throw this question on over to you there, Jesse. What if he goes to the Patriots at 3?
I think it's funny because it seems like more of a Patriots pick than Jaden Daniels.
It really does.
But I don't think he makes it that far. I think we get excited about. I think Jaden Daniels has definitely has more upside for fantasy football. But I don't think Jaden Daniels is as close as people have made him out in the NFL draft. I think, again, we've gotten bored. We've tried to make it, some hot takes and things like that. And I did have to look up just for fun. Josh Allen rushed for 204 yards his final season at Wyoming and 523 his junior year. So that's actually more rushing upside than Josh Allen, with a lot more. I think he's coming into the league with a bit more poise and and experience at the position. So just something to think about.
Well, Jesse, I got a question. If he goes to Washington and backs up, starts over his old Sam Howell, who played at North Carolina and at Washington.
Teammates.
Doesn't it feel like his floor would be last year's Sam Howell?
Yeah, actually. Didn't he finish as a QB1?
He didn't, just because the back end of the season ended so poorly. But for the majority of the year, he was a top 12 quarterback. So
yeah.
Even if he doesn't, last long for the NFL, which I think you think he will, I mean, Sam Howell's been pretty good for fantasy, and he could at least do that, I would think.
Yeah.
Now, Andrew, one other thing for you. I went and plugged my phone in the other room. Can you make my pick, or can you put that in as the commissioner, or do you need me to go get my phone?
These old guys over here just causing all sorts of issues.
Thank you.
Yes,
sir.
I have those commissioner powers. And to your point, I was going to interject there, Steve, and mention that, that's not the same offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, who would just let them throw the lights out of the ball. But then I realized it's Cliff Kingsbury. So no change. No change there. Speaking of no change, hey, Jesse, you're on the board again. Which pick do I have to make for you?
Right now I am taking whoever the Chargers take in first round. And if I go to the consensus mock draft database, they're taking Brock Bowers 5th overall. So I'm going to make what may or may not be popular. I'm going to make a Brock Bowers pick at the turn. Just a little justification. Again, I think we've gotten bored. We're trying to disregard the importance of the tight end position. Listen to a great podcast from Joel Klatt this week, where he talked about his top pass catchers in this draft. He had Brock Bowers ahead of Malik Neighbors, and made a really excellent case for the fact that this guy is an unbelievable weapon, and that John Harbaugh is going to find a way to utilize him. And his best point about it was that the last 8 Super Bowls have had some kind of presence over the middle of the ball. It's either been Gronk or Kelsey or Cooper Kupp that have been difference makers in those Super Bowls. And so that position is more valuable than it's maybe ever been. And this is maybe the most valuable prospect that we've seen at this position for fantasy football, maybe ever. So I'm going Brock Bowers, and I know Jake's going to be happy because he's going to get his receiver, but I think that's where I got to go here.
I was actually going to make the Chargers argument on my next pick, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not as happy as you would want me to be.
Because now you got to take a Giants wide receiver, Jacob.
Ugh.
Yes.
I'm gonna hold Jesse's feet to the fire. You just took a tight end in the first round, and
Yeah.
you passed on some good wide receivers to do it. Casey, pretend he's here. All right, he's saying stupid stuff about face tests and gut feelings, whatever. And now you have to face him in the eye and say you passed on Malik Neighbors and company and Roma Dunze to take a tight end 5th overall. Talk yourself out of this.
Hey, I said whoever the Chargers take. So, if the Chargers take Malik Neighbors, I would make that pick there. But if Malik Neighbors goes to the Giants, which is what I've got on my consensus draft board here, I am more interested in Brock Bowers. That would be enough for me to slide him up if he goes 5th overall. If he slides back a little bit, I think that then those other receivers would come into play in this particular spot. But again, my boy Klatt, he was adamant. He thinks there's no chance he slides past Jim Harbaugh. He thinks that Harbaugh understands that weapon in the middle can be really special in actual football. So, but I think this guy will be really good in fantasy football.
All right, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
And Andrew, you said, look, Casey in the eye. I just want, anybody that's watching, this is Casey's eye right here. I'm trying to point to it. This is his self-portrait. This is my brother. This is what he gave me for Christmas one year. A giant self-portrait that's too big to get rid of. And
it's actually a really good painting too. If you ever see it,
it's actually really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sits in my storage room, and my house is under construction, so I don't have my normal podcast studio. So yeah, I'm here in the storage area with what's left of Casey.
That it sounds exactly like Casey. No one can deny that at all. I was trying to pull up this picture. I can't get it to quite pull up. You're not any sort of concerned about this picture of I'm looking at the Brock Bowers and a mismatching stocks auto trader looking next to Gronk, looking like he's a middle schooler. Not concerning you?
No, there's just not a lot of guys that look like Gronk. So
that's my point.
Yeah.
If you put George Kittle next to Gronk, he doesn't look like a tight end.
Exactly.
I've been leading the charge on you want your tight ends ugly. So Brock Bowers, you're not ugly, but you're not the pretty boy. So that's what I like it on tight end. Jacob, what is this? 2-2.
Yep.
The 6th pick overall. You're on the clock.
Well, the very talented Malik Neighbors has fallen to me, and I will field 0 questions about what if he goes to the Giants. So I'll take the best available. I think he's easily the 2nd best receiver in this class. He'd be the number 1 in most other classes in the past decade. So I will take the dynamic Neighbors, and he pairs nicely with his former teammate on my little squad here.
So you've kind of beat around the bush on this one. So I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
How close is Marvin to and Malik Neighbors? How close are they? And how even closer could a landing spot push him up your board? How far up could a good landing spot push him up your board?
I think I alluded to this in our chat one time. I think Marvin Harrison is like a 100 on the prospect meter, and then Neighbors would be like a 98. So I think they're very close. And they might not be exactly at that level, but they're very high up there at the prospect level. So it's close, and landing spot is scary for Neighbors with the guys picking around the places that he might go. It leans towards Giants. It leans towards Bears. Hopefully the Falcons don't take another offensive weapon at 8. So it's scary, but maybe he goes at 5 to the Chargers. So that would elevate him quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you're telling me if Marv goes 3 to the Pats with God knows who throwing him the football, and Malik Neighbors goes to the Chargers, who you taking over who there?
I would take Neighbors there.
Oh, spicy. We got Mr. Jesse out here taking a tight end 5th overall. We got this guy saying Malik Neighbors is gonna go. He would take him over Marvin Harrison. We're bored, gentlemen, and it's February. It's great. So epic. Alrighty, going on to the 3rd pick of the 2nd round. The man who needs no introduction, who's late to every single one of these meetings.
Absolutely.
Steve, you're on the clock.
All right. So, you know what? I thought it was fun when Jesse just kind of surprised all of us here. There's only 4 of us in this draft, so I think I can skip this next guy. And I'm going to take quarterback. I'm going to take Bo Nix here since it's Superflex.
Hey.
Not the prettiest start to his career, but I really like how it finished. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I believe he threw 45 touchdowns this past year, just 3 interceptions. He's got athletic ability. kind of looks a little bit like a poor man's Justin Herbert to me sometimes. And it's a quarterback. He's an athletic quarterback. Maybe, a lot of people were down on players like Josh Allen coming into the draft and their athletic ability and helped him out, especially for fantasy. And I'm gonna roll the dice a little bit and take Bo Nix.
All right.
I want to hear from Jacob on landing spots.
So I think they're all very favoring for Bo Nix, the ones I've seen. So Falcons, which I don't think anyone would be upset about a quarterback in that offense. The Vikings, I don't think you'd be upset there. Broncos, maybe you're a little upset, but you're happy as, a Broncos fan.
Well, and the OC they got there too.
Yeah.
Well,
and then maybe the Raiders and the Saints are kind of long shot landing spots. So I think he's kind of fine wherever he goes. There's weapons at all those spots.
Yeah, mock draft database has him all the way in the second round of the Raiders. I don't think that happens. I think he's a first round quarterback. So
agreed.
Yeah, and I think Steven, if you got him to the Falcons, Vikings, or Broncos, I like all of those, and I think then that elevates that pick to where you took him. So I can't give you too hard of a time.
Yeah, and again, I'm just gonna anytime I draft a quarterback, I'm just gonna do the cop out. Well, it's Superflex. Quarterbacks they all have value. Superflex. So
I won't let you off the hook because I do not have this man as the next quarterback. I don't have this man near as the next player. So if you're gonna take the Superflex out, why are you not taking JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, or one of those two guys over him here?
I like him better than those guys, honestly.
Oh, good answer. But why? Why is he?
Well, I'm getting into it. You didn't even let me finish. He just seems more athletic to me. Michael Penix kind of looks like this is going to be a weird comparison, but he kind of reminds me of like a little bit of a mobile Ben Roethlisberger when he throws, a left-handed version. I know Ben Roethlisberger, former Hall of Fame quarterback, but I don't know. He just had such good wide receiver talent, Penix did, that I think they maybe carried him a little bit. That offense was very volume-based. And I don't know. I just don't think his upside athletically seems as good to me as Bo Nix.
Yeah, I'm absolutely following the track there on Penix. You can't get me off of JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy's a guy who's growing on me. I'll let one of you fools take him.
Well, and this isn't really like a knock on those guys. I like McCarthy more than Penix Jr. I do think he looks good. That whole entire Michigan offense looked very good. But I don't know. It's close between those two. For me, I just like I said, I like his upside a little bit more.
That is fair. Bo Nix, he seems like a guy who's going to come in. He's going to score fantasy points. Playing quarterback, he's going to play quarterback for someone, and I think he's going to do it not terribly. Really clutch onto that, especially if it's a first-round contract. Feels like he's going to play that out. Like, why would you draft a guy like Bo and not play him? Like, you know what you're getting with Bo. Alrighty, Steve, put the pick in. Come on, guys. We're in 2024. And then that'll put officially, after we hear that happy little sound, it'll put there it is.
I'll try to do it on the next time when I actually pick.
Proud of you. Jacob over here was like immediately like setting the tone. He does that in every draft.
Of course, yeah.
Big Jacob guy. AJ, big AJ guy. AJ, who are you taking to close out here the second round? It would be pick 8th overall. And before you take your beginning of the third round pick, who are you going? You're on the clock.
I'm going Adunze. I was pretty certain that Steve was going to be taking him there, especially seeing that I already technically have taken a quarterback. Just a little draft mind games there. But Adunze really had a strong sophomore year and looked great last year. Gets me excited. Even though I can't have Malik or Harrison, I think Adunze is going to make a strong argument to be a receiver one on a team one day. Jacob, I'm not sure where he's projected to maybe go, but
it's the same ugliness as Neighbors. So you're looking at maybe the Bears or maybe the Giants. So
okay,
yeah, hold your breath.
Yeah, so that's why we don't draft until after we see where these guys go, right?
Yeah.
So,
man, I wish I could somehow make Rome Odunze like ridiculously high in my rankings. I love Rome Odunze. I think I'm the highest of us on Rome Odunze. Not saying any of us are low on him. Like none of us don't like Rome Odunze unless I'm speaking for someone incorrectly. But I like him so much. I think like where the Bowers tier is, I wouldn't sniff any of these quarterbacks. Like I wouldn't have taken Bo Nix at all near him. Like after Bowers, it falls off a cliff for me, which is something I want to point out here because Roma Dunze falling to the 108. Now, I think, again, Steven might just be a madman out here, but it's realistic. Like the fact that Roma Dunze, who's supposed to be what would have been wide receiver 1 last year, is falling to the 8th overall pick in a rookie mock. This is incredible, gentlemen. What do you think in this top 8 so far?
I think this is pretty close to how it could go. You might be able to swap out JJ for Bo, depending on which one of those guys goes in there, or maybe Panic surprises and is the 4th QB off the board. But I think Odunze is actually great value there. I think that might be the best pick so far. Joel Klatt actually likes him as his 2nd wide receiver after Marvin Harrison. So and it's not like he doesn't like Malik Neighbors, but he's just that high on Odunze. So I think those 3 guys are pretty close together, actually. And I think AJ got a lot of value there with when you're in Superflex, this happens, you know, the QBs are going to get valued a lot. Now, I do think that the other thing that we have gotten bored with is that QB classes have not been very strong, 5-6 players deep. This one is. So I think, you know, that's the other part about it is normally taking that many quarterbacks in this first round would be a little crazy, but I really think that all these guys are going to play in the NFL. They're all better than Kenny Pickett.
Like
That's
all
all
of them.
more.
Shots fired.
Wait, everyone look behind AJ.
Or
There
Kenny.
we
All the
go.
way down,
And then-
all the
and
way
then
down to
point and laugh.
Spencer Rattler. I'd rather have Spencer Rattler than Kenny Pickett. All right.
Whoa.
What do we got next? What do we got next?
Those are fighting words. AJ, take the turn. Who taking 3-1? You're on the clock.
I'm taking another wide receiver here. I've been kind of going back and forth between a couple guys, but I think I'm going to go Brian Thomas. He's another guy that I think will make an impact probably day 1 as a strong receiver 2 on a team. Potentially a receiver 1, depending on where he goes. I think I've seen potentially the Chiefs, which would really excite me. But Jacob, you can tell me if I'm just looking like a liar.
Nope, everyone mocks receivers to the Chiefs and all the mocks that I've seen. Same with the Bills. I've seen Brian Thomas go there too. So those are the dream scenarios, but that's where mock drafts are putting them.
Mock draft database has him as the 4th receiver to the Bills at 28 as the most popular choice. So boy, that would be pretty exciting. Add a deep threat to that offense.
Ooh, let's sling him in there at 23 to the Houston Texans. That could be spicy as well. 25 Green Bay Packers. Why not just take every wide receiver now that Aaron Rodgers is gone? Let's get some spite in there for the Packers. Brian Thomas Jr. This is for the field to kind of analyze. He is a really spicy prospect. Like physically gifted, like possibly the most physically gifted in this draft. He's so tall and so fast. It's insane. Clearly just doesn't have like the technical stuff, like, you know, catching the ball and footwork. Like those are important things. Anyone got some big concern? AJ, I'll start with you. You concerned about like the lack of production? Might be a little bit raw.
I mean, he might be a little bit raw, but you got to remember that he was lining up in the same offense with Malik Neighbors. So for him to, you know, have the opportunities that he had last year while having one of the top guys in the draft at the same position just kind of shows how remarkable of a player he was. I think that also is a nod to LSU and the offense that they ran. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
I feel like the position he's getting drafted into those good teams that have other receivers already just is even better for him as well, because, you know, it's go ahead and swing double coverage away from him at your own peril. That's how he like led the nation in touchdown receptions. He is behind the defense a lot. And I think DK Metcalf is what I think of, because I think when DK was coming out, it's like, man, this guy is just always behind the defense. Physically, he's a freak. He's just pretty raw. What do we think? Well, rawness has not mattered, really. He's been awesome, right? So he needs to put on a little weight to be a DK, but he's still, I just think that it's that type of player. And so when you start adding him to these late first round teams that are all really good teams, I think that's really exciting. I mean, the guy is definitely more talented than our boy from SMU that was catching all those balls for the Chiefs last year.
Rasheed
Like,
Rice.
Yeah,
my boy, Rasheed Rice. What are you talking
nothing
about?
nothing against Rasheed Rice, but this guy's going to be bigger and faster and stronger and all the things. So, and I think they actually would pair really well together because you continue to work Rasheed on the intermediate stuff. So,
yeah, makes a lot of sense. I'm fully in. Brian Thomas, upside as high as anyone else's. Looking at the board here, this is kind of where we saw a tail off after Odunze, and I think after the top 7, a huge tail off in terms of like my top 7. I was about to write an article about this. Is like that's locked in and loaded. Like you got one of those picks, you're excited. Those guys feel like they're going to hit in some way. Here on out, it's more of a typical mid-round draft of these guys have a ton of talent, but which one's your guy? And Steven at the 3-2, what is this? I can't count this high. Pick 10 overall. You're on the clock.
AJ, he disappointed me. I was hoping he would not take Brian Thomas. That was who I had queued up here. You know what? These guys used to play for the same team. They're now going to play for the Fantasy Guides team. I am going to go, if I can find him on here.
Oh no.
it sounds like he's
There he is.
scrolling.
No. I had it scrolled down.
Reach. No, I'm just kidding. It sounded like he was scrolling. So
well, you know what? I was looking. I was looking for somebody else, and I didn't have it pulled up. I didn't have it scrolled to the top. No, I'm going Troy Franklin from Oregon. I was trying to comp this guy, Jesse. Now you're going to appreciate this comp. So the first thing that came to mind, and now granted, nobody freaking laugh when I say this.
I'm
so
ready.
The first player that I thought of was Randy Moss.
You idiot.
But-
You
but-
idiot. No.
But he's not that good.
Now you're doing the Casey thing. Joe Montana.
No, but then Jesse, here's where you're gonna like it. But you mix in some Ashley Lally. You combine the
Oh.
two.
There you go.
So he's not as good as Moss, but he looks better than Ashley Lally. You guys probably don't even know who that is.
No, is that a pop star?
Former Hawaii wide receiver.
Yeah,
that
Hawaii
played for
Rainbow
Broncos.
Warriors back then. I think they still had the rainbow on the side of their helmet back then.
Well, he's tall, so he's so fast for how tall he is. Like it's crazy how fast he is. I don't see a lot of times where he gets caught. He may be limited a little bit in his route tree, so that makes me a little bit nervous about him as far as can he do everything. But I think in the right system, this guy is an explosive playmaker. And I'm just kind of going for a home run hit here and hope that he lands in a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong there with Troy Franklin. You can see my little notes here. I've got I'm writing questions about guys, like, so I can give you guys grief about these picks. And I just I was blank for Troy Franklin. Like, what is there not to like about this dude? He's fast. He's 6'3". He's skinny. Someone say something bad about him.
Yeah, I mean, he is a little undersized. Like he's thin. He's just like he looks like Ashley Lally. You guys Google him after the show. Looks like the same guy, but oh man, if he can get paired with a good quarterback, I've seen mocks to Buffalo before. If he was paired with Josh Allen and that big arm, I could see some really big plays out of this guy. So yeah, that's what I'm banking on.
What other landing spots you got, Jake?
They're the same as Brian Thomas's, but I'm just fuming over here that both those guys just went before me.
Oh yeah. I've got him to the Chiefs, 32.
Yep.
Last pick of the first round.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, another great landing spot. Same thing, similar players, right? Stretch the field, everything else. Jacob's been high on Troy Franklin since the start. He could definitely be the fourth wide receiver off the board as well. He's growing on me as well the more I analyze him. So I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I want to say something bad, but I'm big on Troy Franklin, big Troy Franklin guy. So I'll hope to pick on Jacob's pick. Jacob, next pick, 3-3. You're on the clock.
I'm gonna do an unconventional pick here because I think it's someone that Jesse might take, and he won't come back to me. So I'm gonna play the board a little bit, and I'm not gonna take the raw prospect that is Keon Coleman. And I'm gonna go a little unconventional and take Ladd McConkey.
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of Ladd. He's been rising on my boards and rising on NFL draft boards from what I've seen. He's climbed into the first round in some mocks, but it looks like he's going to be a day 2 guy, early day 2 guy. So his landing spot's a little bit all over the place, but he can be used in a lot of ways. He's got good run after catch ability. I like how he's going to be able to be used in the NFL. So big Ladd guy.
What a dick, Andrew. Take my pick. Right? He knew exactly what he was doing.
I think he had no intentions of taking Ladd McConkey until he looked to see who was going after him. I mean, in the grief I'm going to give you, Jacob, is I didn't make a thing about him because I didn't think anyone would take him in the first 12 picks. So gotcha. But no, I absolutely get it.
He's climbing up, man, because mock draft database has him 33 right after Troy Franklin, the first pick of the second round to the Carolina Panthers. They need help at the receiver position, and they need a guy that can kind of, again, work that middle of the field like we were talking about with Brock Bowers. I think it's a great pick. And, you know, we're kind of going right along with where these guys could go. I have a big old hard on for this NFL mock draft database now, where you can look and see popularity of picks and everything else. This is a 40% mock draft popularity. So that is very, very popular when you think about it, that they got like hundreds of mock drafts that they're putting into this thing. And he's 40% going to Carolina as that first pick in the second round. So good pick, Jacob. Good pick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, think about it. Go ahead, Steven.
I was just going to say one thing that stands out to me for him compared to some of the other receivers around him is just his yards per route run in college. And you can see it. The guy has amazing after the catch ability. I wrote down Cooper Kupp with speed. I don't know how fast he is, like how he's going to time, but he seems like a faster version of Kupp.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really fast. We'll see. And one of my favorite stories, Steven, I don't know if you listen to that pod, but he was a quarterback in high school. So it came in as a 3-star quarterback, and then you just watched all these blue chip wide receivers transfer to other schools. So, yeah, very, very interesting prospects. I like that pick there.
Yeah, I heard JJ Zachariason talking about him a little bit in his breakdown, and he mentioned like, oh, he just wasn't on the field much, like didn't get a whole bunch of play time early on, especially. And I was thinking the whole time, this one guy I talked to, Jesse Preston. Jesse freaking watches football every single day of his life. Preston told me a good explanation of why, because he used to be a quarterback, just like Julian Edelman. So love that for you, Jesse. Now that your heart's been just absolutely destroyed by Jacob here, how are you going to spite him back here on this turn? What's your first pick here?
I think I got to go JJ McCarthy in a super flex for him to fall this far. I think there's still a lot of value there. I think he goes to the Vikings, the Broncos. If he goes to the Raiders, maybe I'm not quite as excited. If he goes to the Saints and he's, going to wait a few years, I might pass there. But yeah, we're tail end of the first round here, right? I still think quarterback in a super flex, there's a lot of value there. So I think I'm going to go JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a phenomenal pick. I would have taken him over Ladd, probably over Brian Thomas, over Bo Nix. So I am in complete agreement here with Mr. JJ. A couple questions for you regarding JJ. Do you view him? So some have him going up, like way up as high as number 8. Is there like a certain spot where he could land that would give you like a ton of confidence that like he might get pushed closer to the Drake May, Jaden Daniels sort of tier? Or are you just like pretty regardless, as long as he's in the first round, you feel good about him?
I like the Vikings one a lot. I think whichever one of these guys goes to the Vikings, if that happens, if they don't, is there still a possibility? Steven, what's going on with Kirk? What's the deal with Kirk?
Well, they haven't franchise tagged him. I don't, Jacob, do you know? I don't know actually the latest of.
Yeah,
I've heard rumors they want to. They'd like to re-sign him, but
they do. So there's been recent videos of him working out. It looks like he's recovering well. So that's a positive. And for someone that just, tore his Achilles. So he's recovering well. That's good. He's just going to be an expensive quarterback. And I think come draft day, they're going to have a decision to make there.
Yeah. He can't get franchise tagged. He's not eligible for it. Or no, it was in his contract is what it was. So they're not going to tag him. I think he just gets paid too much somewhere else. I really think he might be on the move. I think the Vikings definitely could bring him back. I don't see Kirk going back there, but that's just my early on perception of what might happen. I think someone is going to pay up big time for the guy, Falcons. Who are you going back to back with, Mr. JJ? Who are you pairing? Yeah, you're on the clock there, Jesse.
So we're moving now into the second round. We said we'd kind of play this by ear, Andrew. So you think you want to get a try and go a little, maybe get another half of a round in here, and then we can do more.
You can't do a half a round. You can't do a half round.
Otherwise, you can't triple stamp a double stamp. I do have a topic of discussion if you wanted to pause here and do second, third round next week.
Why don't we fly through 4 more picks? Because I know next week we're talking combine. We can't not.
Okay.
So let's get through 4 more picks if that sounds good for everyone else. Just get through them quick. I'll grill you guys less, and then we'll get to whatever off-topic shenanigans you'd like to get to.
So I have been a big Keon Coleman fan until I listened to a podcast by JJ Zacharyson today. And he described that there are some serious red flags in his data. If you look at the data and everything else. And on my NFL mock draft database, the next skill position player is Xavier Worthy going right after Ladd McConkey, right at the beginning of the second round. I love Xavier Worthy and JJ Zacharyson in his models that he's created for tracking data. He looks really good in that. And so now it's my eyes matching the data. It's Jesse's heart and Steven's head. Those we try to put those things together. And I am a huge fan. He always seemed a little small, which gave me concerns until these last couple of years where these small wide receivers are just tearing up the league. So to the Patriots, did the Patriots take a quarterback?
To the Patriots at 3. Would you still take them?
Jaden Daniels. If they got Jaden Daniels and then they got Xavier Worthy in the second round, I'd be pretty excited as a Patriots fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Big, little speedy guy. You on 980 yards freshman year, like 18 years old, young guy, and then had another 1,000-yard season this last year. Dude just gets the rock no matter what, and every single year. You love to see that. Anyone got Jake? Go ahead, Steven.
I was just going to say, Jesse, I've seen this guy run a Z route, and he might run the Z route better than any wide receiver I've ever seen. It's the quickest. He is insanely fast. I could see them drawing some stuff up in the red zone for this guy just based on his quickness.
Agree.
Yeah, I've seen this guy mock to the Chiefs, just like every other receiver, but that would be really exciting, actually. So Jacob, moving on to you. You're on the clock.
Well, I get to use the Superflex cop out now that you just took the receiver for me.
Nice.
So I'll take someone who's fallen a bit and take Michael Penix, who I don't think has a ton of upside, but I do think he has a solid floor with his accuracy and some playmaking ability. Situation's going to matter a lot, but he's a guy that looks like he's going to fall in kind of the middle of the first round, maybe later. So I think he lands in a better spot than most. The Vikings, I think, are the highest rated for him right now in terms of landing spot. So just from what mocks are showing, which, I mean, that'd be great for any quarterback. No one would be upset with that. So doesn't get any better than that there. That would be dream scenario. But yeah, I will gladly take Michael Penix there.
What if
the Patriots
What if the Dolphins take him?
Oh.
And he sits behind Tua, then I will not draft him.
What if the Dolphins take him because they are not confident in Tua as the answer?
And they love left-handed quarterbacks.
I was going to say.
Got to think for it. I mean,
he is one of those guys that it does seem like he might get drafted somewhere where he doesn't necessarily start right away, which we've seen that work out for quarterbacks in the past. So maybe it wouldn't be a terrible thing, but for dynasty value, it would be a little bit of a stinker there.
I have heard through the grapevine, the little birdie told me that Andrew does not like Tua. So that was mostly Andrew. That was for you. What happens if the Penix is picked by the Dolphins? What if they take him in the first round?
I think that Penix is going to go in there and just be another hot mess like Tua. But man, Tua scores fantasy points, so we're ups there. Yeah. I just don't think Tyreek and Mr. Waddle will be very happy because he's the opposite. Tua can only throw over the middle of the field, and Penix cannot. So that'd be really interesting to see. I'd be excited to see it.
They'll rotate him in like Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier back in the day, he would send the play in with the Doug Johnson, and then with Noah Brindise, they'd come off the field. One would take the play in. Imagine that back in the late '90s, early aughts. Steve Spurrier running the play. So they wouldn't be able to. What number is Tua?
1. Is it my wrong?
It's 1.
They could make. I was hoping it was like 2, and then they could make Penix 5, and you wouldn't be able to tell, right?
Well, 11 maybe.
I don't know. I need the extra digit.
A 7, depending on the font.
There you go. Yeah.
I like you got the Lions font. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Welcome to Jersey Talk. Hey, Steven, speaking of Jersey Talk, you're up on the clock. Who you got?
All right. You know what? I like balancing out my roster here a little bit. I got my 2 wide receivers. I got my quarterback. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I'm going to take a running back. And this running back class is just being slammed for being mediocre at best. But I'm not going to take the running back Jesse wants me to take.
Is it the one I want you to take?
I'm going to take Trey Benson.
It's not.
Oh, good one.
Oh,
running back from Florida State. He has some red flags. His yards after contact per attempt, not very good. The other, a few weeks ago, the guy I would have considered here, his teammate, Keon Coleman, just like Jesse said, I've also seen some of these red flags, like a very paltry yards per route run of 1.7 during his college career. That's not exciting. But Benson, again, I'm going to get slammed for these comps, but a lot of times we comp optimistically, unless we don't like the player. Kind of reminds me of Adrian Peterson, the way he runs.
oh, get
What on earth?
out of here!
I'm just saying.
In
He's
what way?
fast.
Where's
Yeah.
Casey?
He's explosive. He's
He holds a football.
God,
That's pretty similar.
nothing even close. Everyone have that stricken from the record. Isn't that what the judge says? They're like,
hey, he's got the highest breakaway run percentage in this class. He's got athleticism. He's younger. I mean, Blake Corum, I like Blake Corum. I think he's more well-rounded. I just think it's going to be a short career for Blake Corum in the NFL. And I'm just going to shoot for a little bit of upside with Trey Benson. And again, guys, this is a mock draft, so I get to play around and I get to see how bad the reaction is with some of these picks.
You had me in the first half with the pick, but just the Adrian Peterson. Everyone boosted
you
even.
ruined it.
Boo.
And you know what? I don't think Troy Franklin is Randy Moss either. I'm just saying. If I squint and I just have to take my glasses off. It kind of gives me.
You're not saying he's Randy Moss. You're just
No.
saying he might be Randy Moss. So I get it, Steve. I got
you. Just
you.
got some moments where you're like, man, that guy's fast. He's athletic. So,
AJ, save him. AJ, you're on the clock. Please save him.
no,
All right.
AJ, he's rusty. Okay, he hasn't been on in a while. He's like, what if Casey was here? Is what he's thinking in his head. He's like, Casey would
what?
do something silly right now, so I got to try and do
way
that.
more interesting this way.
Oh God, Benson. I think Benson's my third or fourth best running back. So, whoops.
I think it's a fine pick. He's just not Adrian Peterson.
I didn't listen. I didn't say he is Adrian Peterson.
No, we heard it. We clipped it. It's on social media already.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to ask Jacob for landing spot because he doesn't even show up in my 2-round NFL mock draft database.
He's got a round 2-3 grade. It's
So anywhere.
So
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks tends to be the top guy taken, and most of these things they have him 56 to the Cowboys. Man, running back is just not that exciting this year. I think it's going to be a situational thing where it's like the Chargers take Blake Corum, right? There's just like in the 3rd round or something, and it's just that familiarity with Harbaugh, and they don't bring back what's his face from Western. I know their college teams, and then I can never remember their name.
What's going to happen is someone's going to run really fast next week, and then this is all going to change, and we're taking someone like 5th overall.
It's going to be Trey Benson.
Yeah. AJ, move on. AJ, move on. Taking the mic.
Yeah, you guys, you did all the talking for me there. Steve said this was the most well-rounded running back off the board, and then
Not a baby.
Jesse, what you were saying, I would love to go see him in that powder blue out in LA playing for Harbaugh. So yeah, I'm going Blake Corum in that spot. He's my top running back that I've kind of got on my top 24 list here, and obviously landing spots everything. But if he goes and replaces Austin Eckler.
That's the guy
in LA. Yes, I think that he probably will be coming off the board first in a lot of leagues when it comes to the running back position.
Andrew, I think AJ has a thing for pastels because he's rocking the creamsicle K. Dotton jersey right now. Oh, he's gonna go grab some more.
Oh, he's got more.
He's got more
The
jerseys.
closet just got open.
He goes running out.
His closet's bad.
If anybody needs there it is.
Not Eckler.
Yeah,
we got Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
I can't wait for AJ to get a China-made Blake Corum Chargers jersey.
There you go. There you go. Number 2, baby.
I do have Eckler. I got.
Oh, there he is.
My fiance is a Chargers fan, so I got her an Eckler.
Oh yeah, so you might actually get into that. So yeah, great pick. Great, way better than Stevens. Good job.
Eckler, come join the pod.
Oh,
AJ's got your back.
I forgot. Who is the Falcons running back with Tevin Coleman? That was the other guy.
look
I
at
said
this. I like
he
this
reminded me of.
Here's
Who
the
is
George
that? Trey
Pickens
Benson
just-
or Blake Corum?
No, Trey Benson.
Okay, that's a much better. That would have been acceptable.
Hey,
It would have been.
you know what? The other one I had written down, I didn't have that pulled up, Jesse, but Tevin Coleman. So a mix of those two.
Yeah, that's
Just
fine.
say-
No, but
That's fine.
Tevin Coleman is
Yeah.
fine.
He went from
Adrian-
Adrian Peterson to Tevin Coleman.
No, it's a mix.
Adrian
You guys
Peterson.
don't understand what I'm doing. I'm mixing the two. You know?
Didn't say that.
Quit with that.
No,
We
it's
yelled
like-
at Andrew last year when he was like, "It's like an amalgamation between this guy and this." No,
It was
not what I'm
Gronk and
doing, is
Darnell
I'm showing you, it's
Washington.
like
Yeah,
you're making
yeah,
this
exactly.
really delicious smoothie, and then you throw one little like turd in it. That's what I'm trying to
Oh,
do
nice.
with these examples.
Now you drafted a turd. Way to go.
Well, no, a
Guys,
little bit of one.
I think Adrian Peterson would have been a first round draft pick out of high school. Like he could have literally
All right,
done
you know what?
the LeBron
gonna-
James. Never bring up
Okay.
his name again in a comp because there is no comp. Nobody who name the other running back that could have went from high school to NFL first round draft pick.
Trent Richardson.
Oh, I'm
Ricky
sorry,
Williams.
Mister. I never make a mistake.
Ricky,
Okay, Jesse.
Ricky Williams. That's actually a good one. Andrew, that's pretty good actually.
All right, Jesse, you want to squeeze in this last thing in here at the very end? We usually go way over this time.
Do I? What did you say? What
Do you
I
want to
wanna-
squeeze in one last thing at the
Oh.
very end, the segment you mentioned?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? I thought you were going to be. I left 20 minutes for you to bash on Tua, and I threw it out there, and it wasn't returned. It was like I served it up. And there was nothing there.
I'm more than willing always to bash Tua.
I thought that was going to be the thing. That was going to
Yeah,
be our
and-
side topic. But
Well, no, it can be because you just reminded me of that. Andrew literally thinks Tua shouldn't even be a backup in the NFL. If you just read the
Oh,
text chain,
geez.
he thinks he is literally the only thing he's doing there is whatever Mike McDaniel tells him to do.
He's got a camera on his helmet.
I literally think you think VR is happening.
It is.
That he's like the VR system for Mike McDaniel.
He's a robot. All right,
You have
he's
to still be able.
left-handed.
You have to still be able to make those plays, Andrew.
But
For those who don't know, since we're just talking, we had a debate about the best quarterback wide receiver situations. Like if you're a wide receiver, what quarterback an offensive situation? And Jacob and I think we're on the side that Tua is one of the better ones.
Mhm.
And Andrew was like, "Oh, he's awful. He shouldn't even be on here.
He's too accurate.
Yeah."
he is
too accurate.
He said he doesn't have the arm strength. He's
He
mediocre.
led the league in deep ball passes. So who
Yeah,
knows?
we had a
It's
bunch of things that I thought at some point I would show Andrew enough evidence where he'd be like, "All right, I can see that," but no,
Yeah.
there was no amount of physical evidence that you could show him where he would change his mind. He is
Mhm.
Jag. He is just a guy to Andrew.
I want to hear from AJ. AJ, is Tua Jag?
I kind of fell somewhere in the middle in the
always does.
conversation.
He's
Yeah,
Pick a
somebody's got to
side.
play devil's
Switzerland.
advocate, right? Somebody's got to do it. It's fun to be a fly on the wall in those chats. I'll look up from work and just see 100 text messages go by, and I need somebody to come in and give me the cliff notes of it. But yeah, no, I think Tua, he deserves to be on a team. I think unlike what Toysher says, he is good for Waddle and Hill, and I think any receiver would be happy to be on that team.
For example, here's one of the things Andrew said. I think he's good if his wide receivers are very good.
elite.
Well, guess
If he's
what?
got elite wide receivers, mind you, Tyreek Hill had Patrick Mahomes and never put up the numbers that he has with Tua.
Burn.
And then he also said, I don't think he can support more than one elite wide receiver yet. We saw both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle the previous year before Waddle got hurt were both top 10 wide receivers. But you throw this kind of evidence at Andrew and he goes, yeah, but still.
Yeah.
That's how I started every single one of these texts. Let me get on my pedestal here, okay? Mr. Tua
So, Andrew,
Tagovailoa.
The real argument here, this is what Joel Klatt said when he did his mock, and he had Michael Penix going to the Dolphins at the end of the first round. And I was like, what the? He had 13 concussions, Joel Klatt. And he said, the thing is, it doesn't get better. You don't heal from it. You know, it's not like an Achilles. It's not like you can go do tightrope surgery on that ankle and fix that. You will only get concussions easier and easier and easier. And that was the point he made. And I was like, well, that's why I traded him to Steven for Dak.
But he was fine last year.
But he was fine, but it's the shelf life thing, you know.
For the record, that is not the trade that happened. How dare you?
Well, there was more players involved.
Yeah, I think Jamar Chase was included somewhere in that.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm gonna insert myself into this situation.
Go ahead.
All right, I've been slandered nonstop. What I said was that Tua Tagovailoa is not a top 10 QB for supporting fantasy wide receivers because this man is out here ranking him as such. I said I would rather have the following guys supporting my fantasy wide receiver quarterback, and I'm not even talking real life quarterback. Tua's way further down the list there. All right, so I have Stafford. I'd rather have Stafford throwing my wide receivers the ball. You ever heard of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp? Yeah, okay, going on there. Oh, and Calvin Johnson. Oh, Kirk Cousins. Yeah, he throws the ball to Justin Jefferson. Big fan of that. Actually a better quarterback. Kyler Murray supported multiple D-Hop seasons. Actually good at playing quarterback. Aaron Rodgers. Ever heard of Devontae Adams? He's pretty good there. Jared Goff. Amon-Ra. Sam Laporta. Pretty good this year. Gonna keep going. Brock Purdy. 2 top 14 wide receivers this year. Gonna keep going. Jordan Love, obviously talented. Gonna be an MVP candidate next year. Trevor Lawrence. No, this is where we start getting on the line. I don't actually know. Trevor Lawrence is a better fantasy QB, but he keeps the ball moving because he's actually a good quarterback. I even said Geno Smith I would take over him because he also supported 2 wide receiver ones the prior season. You short-minded individuals. So
did Tua.
So did Tua. Tua's done it twice now.
Here's what happened.
Geno Smith. Oh, Geno
I still
Smith.
call him Geno Atkins. I can't even remember that guy.
He's not even respecting his name. Tua cannot throw to a certain part of the football field. And as much as Tyreek Hill is going to keep going over the middle and dying, it's going to be an issue. You want quarterbacks who are good to support your fantasy wide receivers. Talk to your SMU boy. All right, Mr. Rashee Rice. All right, that dude is nothing if he's not playing with Patrick Mahomes. You give him Tua, that dude's not putting up a season. Now,
he'll be fine. He doesn't have any ADOT.
Patrick Mahomes makes that work. They don't move the ball with a quarterback with no ADOT throwing to this top wide receiver without a good quarterback. These good wide receivers, elite ones, you want not amazing quarterbacks throwing them the way. Sure. But that's like 7, 8 guys. The rest of the wide receivers we all have to draft, not in the first round, are all going to not be these guys who are going to be elevated because they're so good that even when Tua Tagovailoa is throwing them a hospital ball over the middle of the field, left-handed, which should be illegal. You should not be allowed to be left-handed, be in the NFL. That's strike 1. All right. That should have been noted. All right. The rest of these guys are being elevated by quarterbacks who can keep the ball moving. You know what's good for fantasy points? Scoring touchdowns. You know who's not good at scoring touchdowns? Bad quarterbacks. That is my reasoning. I rest my case.
Speaking of fantasy points, Tua had more than all the guys you mentioned, so that's a weird
and
argument.
also Miami was the top scoring offense, Andrew. So is that bad or is that good?
Go talk
and who
to
had the most
Raheem
passing
Mostert.
yards?
Go talk to
year?
Raheem Mostert about scoring touchdowns, about scoring points in that offense.
You think if you put Geno Smith in the Miami Dolphins offense,
No.
They'd be way better.
they'd be better?
Oh,
They'd be
I don't
way
know,
better.
though.
You're
I think
also
that's how you have
discounting
to
his
do it.
accuracy. You know, Drew
Yeah.
Brees, when he lost his arm strength, still made Michael Thomas break records at the wide receiver position.
Most
When he
pass
loses
yards
his
in the
arm
because he was
strength,
accurate.
He's 25. He
Led
still
the league
has
in
it.
pass yards.
Andrew, you keep missing your one argument is his head's gonna fall off, and
I don't even
No,
need
but
it.
Jesse, that's not
our
what this
pets'
was.
heads are
So-
falling off.
I
So
don't even
Jesse-
need it.
Jesse needs more context. So what we're trying to do, Jesse, is we're coming up with these like systems for our redraft rankings, where we basically take wide receivers and tight ends and look at their overall offensive situation. So what I think we're going to end up doing, because Andrew, like I said, he thinks that Tua is just a VR set for
He is.
Mike
Apple
McDaniel.
Vision Pros.
Yeah. And
yeah,
so
but that's what Drew Brees was for
No,
Peyton.
he wasn't. Get out of it.
Yes, he was.
No,
That's
he was not.
there's
the
no
whole
proof,
thing.
Andrew. They basically
throw the
played
ball
their whole
deep.
When
career
you're in
together.
a system like that, and you he was the comp. That's the comp I made for.
But he
for
could throw
him
the
coming
ball
out.
deep. Marcus Colston caught
Not-
deep touchdowns.
No,
Tua can throw the
Brees
ball
couldn't
deep.
throw the ball deep.
Brees didn't have
No,
a
Tua
big
can't.
arm.
But he better than
They
Tua.
had a comparable arm, Andrew.
Tua completed
Better
all
than
those
Tua.
deep passes. I don't know what you're
Better
talking
than
about.
Tua. He's
His
smart.
arm was better than Chad Pennington's though.
So here's what I think we're gonna do, Jesse. I think so. I had like basically, these bar metrics. I had a bar metric for quarterback, the quality of the quarterback, and I had a bar metric for the offensive coordinator. I think we're gonna meld those, kind of like I did earlier, with that running back, the Adrian Peterson guy.
Yep.
We're gonna meld these two things together as one metric, so that you get, what Tua can do, but you get what Mike McDaniel can do. And then because I was thinking about it, and I was thinking back in the day when Peyton Manning broke every record passing, Adam Gase was his offensive coordinator. So if you're looking at like a metric for Demaryius Thomas back in the day, you'd see probably a 0 next to the offensive coordinator, and you'd have like it pegged for the quarterback. So I think we're going to combine, the overall offensive situation, quarterback plus coaching.
I might rather have Baker Mayfield over Tua.
The thing that I think people are realizing is that Bill O'Brien wasn't calling plays for the Patriots. Tom Brady was, and Adam Gase wasn't calling plays for the Broncos. Peyton Manning was. I do think that day and age, I don't think that exists anymore. Like there's not those guys were special in that way. And I've seen Tom Brady talking on Instagram about how there was kind of a big fall off this past season when he was watching football of guys getting in and out of stuff because, I think that's what made him and Peyton special. And I don't really know if that exists. Maybe
I feel like there's one.
Matt Stafford. Maybe.
It's Rodgers. I think is going to be the one.
Oh yeah, but
it's to a fault.
Yeah. Well, you get way too. You get old enough and you build your own system, kind of thing. And we just don't really have that right now. Because I do think as great as Patrick Mahomes is, it is because of the system, right? That is a huge part of it. They are really good together. Him and Andy Reid.
It matters.
I think it's because of the system, but it definitely helps out. Like we never seen Patty separate. Like definitely to your point.
So I think that's it for tonight, though, guys. I think we did a good job. We actually got through the first round and then 4 bonus picks, which I wasn't sure what we would do. I think last year we just did 1 round and then kind of moved on after that. But great podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast, the best way to help us out is to refer a friend. And please subscribe, all those things. We do have this very loyal following, our group that just keeps coming back this whole off season. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you reach out to us on social media if you have any questions as you head into your rookie drafts or anything else. We will take a look at the combine next week, as Andrew said, and then once the combine happens, maybe we'll have some more guys jump up into this. I will give just a little teaser for everybody. Best players available, because it's kind of what they do as people are heading off right into after the first round ends and they're going off. They're like, these are the guys still on the board. We've got Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Legette, Keon Coleman, who's falling. It sure seems like it. Maybe that'll happen in real life too. Jonathan Brooks, Malachi Corley. And then this one's interesting to me that 33% of these NFL mock draft database, when they put them all together, has the 49ers at the end of the second round taking Marcus Rosemi-Jacksaint, the wide receiver out of Georgia. It's like not even
research there.
Yeah, like he's not even on our board. So,
I don't have him in the guide, so I'll make a note for that.
Yeah, we need to do some looking into that guy because I don't even. I'm like, really? Like,
and I'm 72 players deep so far.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Just going off this consensus mock draft thing, which like I said, I think it's really interesting to look at. But yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for joining us. For Andrew, Steve, Jacob, AJ, thanks for getting a mic, buddy. You rocked it tonight. Thanks for joining us, guys. You guys have a great night. Peace.
DM Steve talking about how much to